A new era in sim racing broadcasting always begins with a vision. Hello and welcome to Grid Vision's broadcast of the Champion Power Equipment Truck Series from the virtual Legacy Atlanta Motor Speedway, the 2008 scan of this racetrack. We already saw this track actually in action just a few weeks ago here in the Champion Power Equipment Truck Series. They ran these exact same trucks at that track as well, and I'll tell you what the story of that night was tire wear. Tire wear was the biggest deal that these guys had to deal with for sure. Of course, fuel wasn't even really the main thing, but of course, fuel will be somewhat of a concern tonight. Of course, 45 laps is the estimated fuel run. Taking a look at the temperature of the racetrack at the moment, I do believe it is 83 degrees on the actual track itself. So it's actually quite cool. So hopefully that will facilitate these guys to have a little bit less tire wear, but Atlanta it's going to get its share of rubber, of course. Of course, my name is Brian Britt. I'm joined in the booth by, or should I say, down behind the cameras, Austin Darbyshire, going to be taking care of all the camera action there. Of course, hopefully we'll see Caleb here in just a little bit, but for now, we're going to let the show go on here at Atlanta. Of course, we have a full group of guys that are ready to tackle this treacherous track. Of course, the new version of this track, the most recent scan, is more like a super speedway. This is not like that. This track is a lot more rough and rowdy and rough around the edges, I should say. Let's take a quick look at the actual points at the moment coming into today's race. And as of course, we did one race already this season. That was Legacy, Michigan last week. This week, as I mentioned, I keep saying we're at Legacy, Atlanta over and over again, so y'all bear with me. But the points at the moment, Justin Levine at the top of the board, able to win last week at Atlanta, or at Michigan. Of course, started in that fifth place position, was able to grab the victory. Very quick driver, expecting to be fast here tonight. Of course, Nathan Meyer was another driver that almost had something for Justin. He came home in second last week. William Mann Jr. third. Really great finish there for him. Was glad to be able to actually have a time to talk with him. Usually we don't get that opportunity. Of course, Kyle Holden came in fourth. George Young fifth. Sheldon Pearson sixth. Andrew Hale seventh. Jason Taylor eighth. Stephen Shepard in ninth. And, of course, Robert Wynn came home in 10th. So definitely a big win for Robert Wynn there in the 10th place position. So definitely excited to see what these guys have in store for us here today. Looks like we're having a little bit of some technical difficulties with our overlays here, but it looks like we do have the grid set for this evening's action. Go ahead and run down through the starting grid. Craig Yanzak going to be starting up on the pole, with Jason Taylor starting in second place. Of course, third place going to be Stephen Gibson. Fourth place, Keegan Sabilo, new driver out here. I know him personally, and seems like he's got a lot of talent. Fifth place, George Young. Sixth place, Andrew Hale. Seventh, Nathan Meyer. Eighth, John Thacker, or Brad Thacker, I should say. Ninth, Kyle Holden. And rounding out our top 10 is last week's winner, Justin Levine. John Lucido, of course, starts in 11th. William Mann Jr. in 12th. Tyler Meeks in 13th. Brandon Ball 14th. Robbie Keneally making his triumphant return after last season's championship. Starts in 15th. Eli Childs, of course, I do believe is race control, so that is going to make, I do believe, James Harris our 16th place starter. 17th, Robert Wynn, and I do believe 18th, James Efa. And that rounds out our 18-car field here this evening. Looks like we're back up and running, so just in time. Everybody's getting all gridded up and ready to get this thing going. Of course, qualifying position, I think it could be big, but then again, it also could be somewhat of a double-edged sword at a track like this. Tire wear is going to be significant, ladies and gentlemen. We have 100 laps that these guys have to tackle. And, of course, we only have 3 sets of tires down in the pits. So not a whole lot of wiggle room there with those tires. And I feel like if these guys do a 15-lap run or more, they're going to probably, and a caution comes out, they're probably going to come down pit road to grab a set of tires. And that's going to be a tricky thing, because I think by the end of this race, it's going to be really a risk versus reward. I mean, I think it could really, really pay dividends to stay out. But then again, it is going to be a dangerous kind of thing to do. This race is all going to be about risk versus reward. 100% it is going to be all about that. Of course, I mentioned about starting up front. Well, Craig Anzac, he's going to be having a bunch of hungry drivers behind him that are all on different strategies when it comes to driving hard. Some of them are going to be more cautious. And Craig is going to respond to how these drivers behind him are pushing him. So does he just let them go? It's going to be an interesting story, to say the least. I think clean air is going to be important. So I think Craig is also going to be weighing that as well with his decisions.
Yeah, Craig.
And of course, I do believe we're actually joined in the booth by Caleb. Caleb, you got me?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can. It looks like we have a little bit of a somebody joining us up here in the booth other than you, Caleb. How's it going tonight?
All good, all good. Yeah, just been caught up with work the last couple of weeks. Obviously had some obligations elsewhere, but I'm back this week. Excited to see these guys going at it again, and at a different track. More laps this time and in a bigger grid, it seems to be like.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, I think you were here when we did this race before, right? I mean, the fun race we did at the end of the mini road course season. Were you here for that race? I think actually it might have been Taylor that was here.
Yeah, I believe it was Taylor. I was actually on the road getting ready to go to a different karting race, but I believe Taylor was there and he was telling me all about it. It was a good race, and I believe tire degradation was a big factor in this race. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how these guys cope with these 100 laps that they're about to face in this race.
Yeah, 100%. It looks like we do have a joiner. I tried to kick him out, but he came right back. Brad, do you have something you need to share with us?
Yeah, man, change the locks on the old broadcast booth. I got a key to this one. But, gentlemen, we've had some server issues. We've extended the grid time just a little bit. So if you'll see a delay, that's what it is. We've extended it to let some people get back in that were kicked out.
Okay,
So,
yeah, all right.
Go put your popcorn on or get a drink, and we'll be here in roughly about six and a half minutes or so.
Okay, well, I appreciate you letting us know, Brad. I was like, what does he want? But thank you, Brad. I appreciate it.
All right, y'all have a good day. See you.
All righty, that was Brad Thacker coming up to give us a little bit of information. So I guess with that information, since we're going to have a little bit of some downtime, I think now would be a good time to pay some attention to our sponsors. How about that? We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to Grid Vision's presentation of the Champion Power Equipment Truck Series at Legacy Atlanta, the 2008 scan. We are back and we are rolling, so it looks like everybody has gotten the technical difficulties kind of worked out, so definitely appreciate everybody being patient with us here. Of course, this is going to be, even with the technical difficulties, it's going to be a rough track. This is going to be rough, Caleb. I mean, I don't know how much experience you have with this old scan, but it looks like we are already seeing some decisions out on the racetrack. It looks like Craig Ganzak choosing the top side here for the initial start.
Yeah, definitely very interesting by Craig. And as experience goes in this old scan of Atlanta, I believe, I have not much experience at all. You know, ovals really aren't my specialty here. And especially in these trucks, from the little that I have done at different ovals, such as Texas Motor Speedway, they are some of the most difficult tracks to kind of keep the tires under you, and I believe that's going to be the biggest thing, the biggest factor here tonight. Craig Ganzak, obviously we saw him last season in the races that we had for fun. He was super quick, but this is a whole different beast. 100 laps, and it's going to be interesting to see him start on the top side. See how this race starts off for him.
Yeah, I think that's a good call for him as we see the pace car down pit road. And here we go. Green flag is out for the first time today at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And what a good start there from Jason Taylor. He's able to stay side by side up into turn number 1. But, of course, I think the reason that Craig chose that top side, oh, you see Taylor getting loose, hitting some of the bumps there on the bottom of the racetrack, a little bit of beating and banging, as it looks like Ganzak, though, does survive the onslaught, and I think he's going to get clear for the lead here, and he is just barely clear by an inch.
That was a very sketchy part of the racetrack for Taylor. He definitely hit that bump a little too hard. Looks like he got a little loose and was about to go into Craig Ganzak, but here it's gonna be interesting to see these guys decide to work together, you know, push each other, try to get away from the pack. And Craig Ganzak already moving up and down the racetrack, trying to defend from the guys behind. Very interesting to see how the strategy will work out.
Oh, there goes Taylor again.
Yeah, seems like
we're having more problems there. 3 wide further back. You see George Young in the middle here, and I do believe that is the 24 of Nathan Meyer up top, and of course on the bottom, I think that is actually Kyle Holden in a little bit of a different paint scheme.
Yeah, some of these liveries look very different than we've seen before, especially in the last championship that we had, the one that we had for fun. And it's very good to see all these sponsors coming in, and very nice looking cars. We have I believe that's Gibson and Ganzak almost side by side. It's like Gibson just gonna push Ganzak all the way down.
Yeah, been some great racing thus far. I mean, but like I said before, I think that even 3 laps in, I think we're going to start to see the tire wear start to affect these guys, even though they're running their fastest laps at the moment. I mean, look at last lap. The lap before, there was a 31.426 from Craig Ganzak. That last lap, he just hit the start-finish line. He had a 31.7, so that was 0.3 difference in time. And I think that's going to be the story of the day, that at every single lap, we're going to see these guys starting to fall off. This place is so abrasive. As we see side by side for second place, Jason Taylor, what a nice recovery he has had here so far tonight as he gets a good run up top. He's going to go side by side with our leader.
Yeah, very interesting to see what Taylor can do from the top side, as we have seen him on the low side before, and obviously that bump not helping him out at all. But Taylor seems like he has all the traction on the outside. He might get it done on the outside of Ganzak. Can he get it done? And I think he may be clear, Brian. Ooh, just about. Ganzak sticking it in, still on that inside line, still there, and Ganzak still in P1.
Yeah, still battling. I think that Ganzak finds himself on the bottom. I don't think he wants to be down there. I feel like there's bumps that are really close to the bottom of the racetrack here, especially in 1 and 2. But it looks like he is going to stay down there and try to see what he can do, of course, side by side throughout most of the pack. I'm seeing right now, I do believe Justin Levine starting to make some moves. Of course, he was last week's winner at Michigan. And look at that, he gets cleared by Steven Shepard, now up to 4th place. And he's running more towards the top side of the groove racetrack. And now, of course, we were so proud to see him win last week, just considering he's got that GB, that grid vision right on the hood as he almost gets right into the wall out of 4.
Yeah, very good to see these guys, especially with that grid vision livery. Very good to see by him. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how Ganzak does on that bottom, on that low side. And we have I believe that's Levine still there. They're about to get together, and Levine and Young, if I'm not mistaken, are pushing each other down these straights. And it's gonna be interesting to see if if these guys want to keep working together to try to get past Ganzak, I believe they're already past Ganzak at the moment. It's going to be interesting to see if these guys can work together to really take the fight up to Taylor.
Yeah, I think that they are. You see Levine really pushing George Young right now. And, of course, he's running the tippity top of the racetrack. I don't know how good that's going to be for his tires. We'll have to wait and see. It looks like he switches lane. He's going to take him 3 wide. And what a move from Justin Levine. What truck control he has as he is going to take the lead. But George Young could get a good run out of 4 here and possibly take it back.
Brian, for a second, I thought Levine got loose there, and I thought he was off the racetrack, but it seems like that was on purpose. Took it to the high side, swung that truck on the inside, and took the lead of this race. So we're going to watch that again, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I can't wait to see this again.
Levine.
That was,
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't play out long run for him, but wow, he gave us quite a show to do that. That was a monster slide job if I ever saw one. He was up top, dropped down, and just pulled a slide job out of nowhere. And now he is, of course, back in, I do believe, 4th place, being challenged by Andrew Hale. That's another driver of the Ford machine we haven't talked a whole lot about here tonight. He's now up to 4th place. He's gotten by Levine. I think Levine probably burned his tires up doing that. I don't think it was really worth it, but it definitely gave us a good show as George Young now leads the show.
Agreed. I don't think the sliding that these guys are doing from that high side coming to the low side is really going to help their tires out at all, because that sliding, it's going to give them kind of lateral wear on those tires, and it's not going to be good for them. But it's going to be interesting to see how these guys do, especially.
Oh, there's a problem. Someone's in the grass. I think we're going to have a caution here possibly. Caution flag is out. And it looks like John Lucido, I think, had some issues. Robbie Keneally, I think Tyler Meeks was involved. I know Tyler Meeks was involved. Maybe Lucido, I kind of jumped the gun on that, but I know Meeks was definitely involved in this. The 7 machine, I think he went for a wild ride.
Let's see what happened here.
See, Robbie Keneally, I think he was in the middle. Yeah, Robbie Keneally gets in too. Yeah, Lucido was involved. He was the one that took that trip through the grass there. And I think that if we take a look back at it maybe in slow-mo, we could see that Keneally kind of came down and kind of tagged the right rear of Lucido there. Right here. I'm wondering, well, no, maybe Lucido came up. Yeah, Lucido came up. And unfortunately, there was no room for him to move up. And then look at that, Tyler Meeks in the wrong place at the wrong time. And he is going to, I think, go head first. Oh, no, he goes pretty much flat hit to the right side there on that 7 truck. And you can see the damage model being represented and put on display here tonight with all the pieces that come off of these trucks when they hit that wall. And, man, that was a rough wreck right there. And it looks like we got some guys coming down pit road. George Young deciding to stay out. I talked about this a little bit before the race actually began. This is a huge decision. When you come down pit road, only 12 laps in, these guys have 3 sets of tires, Caleb. I mean, I don't know if this is wise. I feel like George is making the right decision, even though he's going to be slower. I think he's going to have that resource later, though, if he survives the onslaught he's going to have with these guys on fresh tires.
Agreed, and it's definitely going to be interesting to see for Young, especially. He's one of the ones that stays out. Maybe the only one that, no, I believe a couple other guys did stay out as well. But it's going to be interesting for him to see him stay out. All these other guys, especially the leader, Craig Ganzak, coming into the pits, and they have those 3 sets of tires. So it's going to be interesting how this plays out, Brian.
Yeah, now another little thing that I've just noticed here, the 33 of Justin Levine took fuel only, spent 6.2 seconds in the box. Everyone else has gone down pit road and gotten tires. So that is an interesting decision for Justin Levine in order to just take fuel only. I think he's trying to save that resource of tires. So we'll have to see how that all kind of plays out. Of course, this is a track that wears tires out quickly. I think wheel spin is a distinct possibility.
Agreed. That wheel spin's definitely going to be hard to manage for these guys that are obviously on that new set of tires. They are going to be quick, but here's where it comes into play. It's obviously a gamble whenever you either stay out or come in. And for these guys, there could be more and more cautions that go on throughout this race. So maybe for Young and Levine, if there's a later caution, these guys of Craig Ganzak and down, these guys are on the new set of tires. They're going to have, maybe they won't have that extra set of tires for the end of the race, and maybe Young and Levine will have that set of tires. So it's going to really benefit these 2 guys up front at the moment. But for the rest, definitely going to be a gamble.
Yeah, I mean, temporarily, it's not going to benefit George Young and Justin Levine, but long game, in the long-term strategy, if we have more cautions, they're going to have a little bit more wiggle room than the other drivers. So yeah, I think that this is a play for the long-term strategy, and I'm glad that they have that kind of view here. The rest of the drivers are definitely going to be kind of up the creek if we have a caution this late in the race and they don't have a set of tires left. I mean, that's going to be a difficult thing for those guys to navigate, for sure. And it could hand the win to a guy that does have tires left. I mean, and this is a track that really, when you're on fresh tires versus old tires, it is a huge difference. I mean, especially it depends on if they have had 20 plus laps on their tires and the guy's got new tires, they're going to be a second faster than the other guy. So that's one of those things. A guy could take tires, go from the back to the front with a second faster lap times.
Agreed, Brian. And as you always say in racing, it's 100 laps. This is a marathon, not a sprint, as we're about to take the green here once again and get rolling.
Whoa, George Young, big wheel spin on the old tires. Oh, there he goes. He's around.
Collects Janzak on that new set.
Actually collects, yeah, Stephen Gibson as well. And that is going to bring the caution flag back out. George Young on the old tires spins his truck out.
But look who's up at top.
Stephen Gibson.
That 33 of Levine taking the benefit of the doubt, and he is still in the lead. And I think now is the time to set that new set of tires on. Obviously, as we were saying before, this is anything can happen in this race and this early on. As we see him just get a little loose there on the restart, too much wheel spinning. Janzak tries to go on the outside, gets loose, and yeah, just gets a little. Yeah.
Janzak got front end nose damage. That is never good in these trucks. I didn't even see that. Yeah, he got put right into the outside wall head first there. And you can see, you know, Young had it collected, but then he tried to get back on the gas again.
Ooh, seems like, was that?
Oh, no, he actually got up into, I do believe, Andrew Hale. And I think that's what caused him to actually lose it completely there.
Yeah, it seems
that
like
was a multi-layer wreck there.
Yeah, it seems like Hale just, with his tail, I guess, just hit that front side of Young, and Young just got completely loose there.
Yeah, I mean, Young had it saved, but unfortunately, you know, just did not work out for him. And it looks like Levine has decided to stay out once again here. So he's dead set on his strategy here. And I know that Young, you know, unfortunately had that issue. I think Levine can handle some wheel spin. I think that he's one of those drivers, very, very talented, high I rating. And we'll have to see, though. I mean, even how it doesn't really, a lot of times it don't matter how high your I rating is. When wheel spin hits you, sometimes it's hard to collect yourself.
Yeah, obviously, wheel spin is definitely something that has played in a factor. We see that grid vision livery of that 33 of Levine. A great drive so far for Levine. And it's going to be interesting to see how he holds on these older sets of tires, as we see Craig Janzak and that 48 of Young and Down all in the pits. And we have one out, that 999 of Childs.
Yeah, I do believe Eli Childs actually is serving as race control for this race. So I don't think he's actually was here in competition. But I do want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors here for the Champion Power Equipment Truck Series. Of course, the title sponsor, Champion Power Equipment. Are you looking for reliable and high-performance power equipment to help you tackle any job? Look no further than Champion Power Equipment. Champion has you covered with top-of-the-line products at affordable prices. And as a proud sponsor of Champion Power Equipment Truck Series, they're excited to bring you even more power and performance on and off the track. Visit championpowerequipment.com today to learn more. As we see, of course, the pace car lights have gone out. Levine's going to be starting on the bottom side. Andrew Hale now up in the top two here, going to be starting on the high side. Of course, he is on fresh tires, so I would expect the 4 is going to definitely be able to take advantage of this. And also, you know, did he get any damage from that contact from before? I don't think so. Looking at his left side, I don't see much on his left rear where the contact actually took place.
Yeah, it seems like he's going to be all right starting. Obviously, he has much fresher tires than that 33 of Levine, so it's going to be interesting who gets, I guess, the whole shot here in the restart as we await for this pace car to come in.
Yep, here we go, entering 3 and 4 right now. Pace car getting ready to take a trip down pit road. And we'll see how Justin Levine fares here. Does he have wheel spin like George Young did? Young, of course, started on the bottom. Levine started on the top. This time, Levine is starting on the bottom. Could that be the variable?
And I was thinking
the green flag is back out once again. And it looks like Levine does get going. Very stable launch there for him. Able to hold on to the lead, but I think 1 and 2 is going to be the test here. All the way down to the bottom of the racetrack. He still is holding in the lead. Look at the speed he's still able to carry. This is shocking to me.
Yeah, very, very, very surprising to see Levine still holding on these older sets of tires. But as we see down the straight, these other guys are just much, much faster than Levine as he's going to take that high side. It seems like he's just sliding from bottom to top. And that's not going to help him out at all as we see that 59 of Holden already making a move on him. And it seems to be Mayer is going to push him from here on out.
Yeah, it looks like Kyle Holden has jumped up to the lead. But here comes Nathan Meyer. He's able to almost get clear. But the 33 of Justin Levine definitely not wanting to give up that spot. 3 wide as Levine shoots up to the top. And look at the speed he still has here. As you see Kyle Holden in the middle right now in that sim search machine. I love that livery there. Just notice that.
Yeah, very, very fun livery as we see this grid of 18 cars, obviously all looking very different. Very, very good to see this. And here we have as Bean slides right in behind that 59 of Holden and Mayer, and all these guys are really just going to work together. And Tyler Meeks already up into the 4th position after a crash that brought us to our first caution. So good to see Tyler Meeks up there, already up to 3rd now, ahead of Levine. And it's going to be interesting how these guys, if these guys can keep it clean, obviously Levine is going to struggle here with that older sets of tires as Meeks is on the inside on Holden. Can he get this move done? See who takes the draft here. And if it's going to be interesting to see which one of these guys works together as Meeks just decides to slide in right behind that 59 of Holden.
Yeah, you're right. What a good recovery there from Tyler Meeks. I mean, up to now 3rd place, and he's not a driver that I'd say is very cautious. He's always been quite aggressive, and sometimes that can really play into his hand. I mean, we saw him really strong at the road courses during that little mini road course season. Also, Brandon Ball, he's been making some big moves. But watch this driver, though. The one machine of Robbie Keneally. He's one that I have my eye all over because he was the class of the field last season in the actual season. He won the championship, and really no one else had any chance really to defeat him. So expect him to really drive his way to the front here. Of course, I do believe he did have some damage a little bit, getting involved in some of those little accidents earlier. So watch him. I mean, I'm sure he's probably been trying to get it prepared as much as he can, but he's really good at saving tires, and this is a track that's very important. As we see Tyler Meeks all the way up to now the 2nd place. Of course, Nathan Meyer in the lead, but I don't know for how long Meyer is going to be the lead with, of course, Meeks really putting in a lot of pressure. And here comes Kyle Holden to the inside for 2nd place.
And don't forget, we have Keneally right behind Holden. So most likely if Holden gets through, then Keneally will get through on Meeks as well. Because these guys seems to be like Keneally's really in that draft of the 59 of Holden. So going to be interesting to see if Keneally decides to really push Holden through Meeks. And obviously, one thing we said about Meeks during the road course season was that throughout races he really kept his nose clean. Most of the time, as he gets into the back of, I believe, the 24 of Mayer, seems like he got a little bit loose there. We see some smoke coming out of those tires. Very interesting to see that, Ryan.
Yeah, that was definitely a scary moment there from sure for Nathan Meyer, but he was able to keep it together. And of course, that does put Tyler Meeks up into the lead now. So we have yet another new leader. He gets a little bit tight out on the exit of 2, though. I don't think he's out of the woods yet, though, because he has got a train of hungry race cars right there behind him. And just a little bit of an update, we talked about Justin Levine being on the older tires. He is now falling back to 12th or 11th place, and he's definitely well off the pace compared to a lot of these other drivers. You see a lot of side-by-side action still going on. Nathan Meyer trying to battle with Kyle Holden still, as we take a nice, I do believe, roof camera off of Tyler Meeks and kind of focused on the drivers fighting for 2nd right behind him.
Yeah, but this still isn't that bad for Levine. as he hasn't gotten any nasty wrecks as of yet. I don't want to get the commentator's curse, knock on wood, for this guy. So it's good to see that his nose is still clean, and obviously if anything happens for these guys ahead, he still has that all 3 sets of his tires. So I think this isn't too bad for him. It could have gone a lot worse.
Yeah, for sure. And he could, as long as he doesn't go a lap down, I think he's going to be in good position. And he's about 3 seconds back from the rest of the group, so not that bad. But here comes Meyer again to the inside, going to be trying to challenge for the lead once again. He's like, I want that lead back, Tyler.
It seems like he wants to make amends with that 7 of Tyler Meeks. It looks like Tyler really just moved that 24 of Mayer out of the way, and these guys are going side by side.
Yeah, can't be too happy with one another, that's for sure. But I think that this could play out good for Robbie Keneally, because you see Keneally, he's wrapping right around the bottom very well. I think he's trying to, and doing that in an effort to save tire. He's such a consummate professional. Drives race cars in real life, has won in real life as well. So he pulls, a lot of that, I think, the experience, and he puts it into this series here, and you could just see just how fast he is and how the longevity of his tires. I think he's going to be one to really watch. And if these guys start battling each other for this lead position, he's just going to drive right by him.
Yeah, of course. And pay attention to the difference in lines by Keneally to the difference in that 7 of Mayer and that 24 of Mayer and that 7 of Meeks. Very interesting to see how Keneally really slides to the inside at the beginning of the corner, slides all the way up, and it seems like he gets right up the rear of that 24 of Mayer, sometimes maybe even side by side with Mayer. Very interesting to see that line by Robert Keneally.
Yeah, I think what he's doing is he's not overdriving it. He's really just doing exactly what the truck needs. He's putting it where and he's not driving it in too deep into the corner, and I think that's what's really allowing him to save the tire and still maintain speed. While these guys in front, they're battling each other very hard, and I think they're overdriving a little bit, and that's going to cause their tires to wear prematurely, I think, compared to what that one's going to have. Of course, you see Kyle Holden. He's like doing exactly what Robbie Keneally's doing as well. He's like, I need to do what he's doing. That way I have a chance, because everybody knows and respects Robbie. They know that he's got that long run speed and ability to save tire, as they still battle for this lead. I mean, look at, they go, both of them up into the wall. Oh, man, and Robbie Keneally barely able to dodge. What? This is not good.
And that 7 of Meeks and that 24 of Mayer out into the wall, and that's not going to help him out at all.
Not at all. Robbie Keneally did get a little bit of a piece of that. And I think that's what kind of caused the actual accident to happen. We saw Keneally trying to avoid those two, but had to come back up onto the track, and unfortunately there was somebody else already in that space. And we'll take a nice replay here. We see, of course, the 7 and 24 both get into the outside wall together. Tyler Meeks rebounds off the wall, comes down, almost gets into Keneally. Keneally comes back onto the track and hits the 7 up into the 24. And you can see the damage model, pieces of some bumpers and hoods coming off of the race car.
Yeah, not good at all for these guys, but you see, I believe this is a Robert Keneally camera. He's down the inside, tries to slide rack up the racetrack. Seems like he just does not see Tyler Meeks on his outside and really just kind of hangs wheels with him, and Tyler Meeks cannot keep it together and goes into that 24 of Mayer.
Yeah, Tyler Meeks has now, and Meyer have both gone from 1-2 to now 16th and 18th right now. So definitely a lot of problems there, and I think John Lucido's pushing Tyler Meeks to the pit lane here. I think Tyler Meeks might have had an expired engine. He did hit that outside wall straight with his nose. I would not be surprised to see that engine has let go. And I think what a great thing, good Samaritan thing for John Lucido to do, to push him to pit lane so he can get that fast repair.
And Brian, if you're that 33 of Levine, you are on your first set of new tires, and all these guys are going on to their second set.
Yeah, and that means they have one set left, and you still have two.
We are 34 laps into this race, and it's going to be, there's still a lot of racing left to do. We have 66 laps, if I'm not mistaken. Was that right? My math is very slow. I believe that was correct. We have 66 laps left in this race. Levine is on his first set of new tires. He has 2 more sets. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does in the rest of this race. Definitely just has to keep it clean. and it seems like he has really chosen the right strategy here moving forward.
Also do want to mention, though, Nathan Meyer is back up into the lead, I do believe. Possibly. He did, I do believe, only take right sides, possibly. And I think he did use a faster pair. But also look at Craig Ganzak. Spent 7.1 seconds in the box. He did not take tires on that stop. So this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out as well. A lot of drivers did not, some drivers did not take tires. So this is going to be dangerous. This is going to be, especially with Craig Ganzak, looking at him and Nathan Meyer. I think Meyer, though, is getting an EOL penalty possibly here. Maybe for entering a closed pits. I think that could be why. We'll have to definitely keep an eye on that, though, for sure.
Yeah.
While we do have a moment, I do want to shout out another one of our Champion Power Equipment sponsors. And, of course, that being Green Mountain Grills. We all love barbecue. I know I sure do. Making me hungry even just thinking about it. Green Mountain pellet grills are top-of-the-line quality grills for all of your grilling needs. Green Mountain Grills also offers the highest quality dry rubs, sauces, pellets, and not at the highest price either. Customers enjoy the best possible grilling experience without breaking the bank. Visit either one of their 1,000 locations across the U.S. or visit them at greenmountaingrills.com for online purchases, recipes, and much more as we wait for the pace car is going to be dipping down pit road. And the green flag is going to fly once again. And Craig Ganzak, let's see, does he have any wheel spin? Looks like he's able to keep the truck underneath him. Kyle Holden, I do believe, on it. Fresher tires here. Yellow flag's back out already.
Yeah, what a start by Craig Ganzak as we see that 4 of Hale already taking that low side.
James Zafa around. I think this is what brought the caution out. Sorry to cut you off there, Caleb, but James Zafa has gone around, and I think that is what brought the caution out.
Seems like he raced a little bit too high and a little too handsome there. So it didn't work out for that 2 of Ufaw.
Looks like he might have got, I think he might have been in the wrong gear because he got hit from behind, and Lucido also, I think, also got into him. So that was on the restart. This pretty much happened. I think he might have possibly been in the wrong gear here. Well, or maybe he just had some wheel spin. It looks like he, from what his RPM show, I think he was in the, he might have missed a shift, yeah. And unfortunately there for him, he is definitely going to have some pretty good rear end damage, and I think some front end damage as well. But with that, I think now's the perfect time. Let's go ahead and take a quick step away, pay some attention to our sponsors. We'll be right back with Champion Power Equipment Truck Series at Legacy Atlanta.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to Grid Vision's presentation of the Champion Power Equipment Truck Series. My name is Brian Britt. Of course, I got Caleb Visca. I always mess your name up, Caleb. I'm sorry.
No worries, Brian. It's Viesca.
Viesca. Sounds like Fresca. I got you. I got to get that in my mind.
Yes, sir.
Well, we definitely appreciate everybody out there tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe to us on Grid Vision here as the pace car is getting ready to take that left turn down pit road once again here. Of course, Craig Ganzak on the old tires right now, trying to get onto the same strategy as Justin Levine. Green flag is back out. Let's see if he has any wheel spin. Looks like everything is fine.'s able to get up through the gears just fine. Of course, Kyle Holden on fresh tires. James Harris up in the top 3 for the first time here tonight. We'll have to wait and see if he's able to stay there, as of course he is being challenged by Andrew Hale, who's up on the top side.
Yeah, we've seen a big difference in strategies here tonight. All these guys choosing to put on new tires at very different times, sometimes only fuel when we see the cautions come out. It's going to be interesting to see how this race plays out with 60 laps left to go.
Yeah, and here comes 3 wide. Is almost 3 wide. Craig Anzac closes the door on James Harris, and here comes Kyle Holden up on the top in that 59 machine on the fresher tires. Of course, I do believe Harris is getting held up a little bit by the old tires, Craig Anzac.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see these guys take the different lines and how these lines are going to affect them. And we saw that 59 of Holden behind that one of Robert Keneally. Robert obviously choosing a very different line than everybody else. So it's going to be interesting to see if that 59 of Holden can really brace that different line that we saw earlier, and it seems like he is. So it's going to be interesting to see how what he learned from that experience behind that one of Keneally, as he did win the championship last time out. So it's going to be something to see.
Yeah, for sure. And it looks like Steven Gibson has finally gotten by Craig Ganzak here. So Ganzak's quickly going to start dropping through this field here, as he's now side by side with the 77 of Keegan Sabilo. Definitely a new driver here to this series. Has been looking very, very strong thus far. Now up into the top 5 for the first time, I do believe, since he qualified in 4th. Jason Taylor also fighting side by side with him, as well as we see Justin Levine comes up to the rear end of Craig Ganzak. Ganzak now in danger of even falling out of the top 10 here, I do believe.
Yeah, and Ganzak's really getting freight trained here by all these other guys. And we see that 33 of Levine down the inside. So like he's going to get that 3 of Ganzak as well, and he does. That 33 of Levine clear of Ganzak.
Yeah, of course. So we also see Brandon Ball trying to get by him as well. So this is definitely a point of contention. You see Robbie Keneally thinking about going up to the top, almost 3 wide here with Ganzak possibly in the middle. But it looks like Keneally uses a little bit of wisdom, a little bit of patience here. He's like, I don't know if I want to jump up in front or jump up and risk getting wrecked there. And it looks like Ganzak does fall back to now 13th position. Of course, Kyle Holden in the lead. He's got about a little bit over a 10th back to James Harris. Of course, Keegan Sobilo is now up into 3rd. So first time he's been up into top 3.
Yeah, I got to see Sabilo up there in that 7. He's now behind that 55 of Harris. It's going to be interesting how these guys treat him up there. He is obviously, I guess you could say, Brian, a rookie in this series. So it's going to see how these guys treat him and the respect that these guys give.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely will be interesting to see what kind of respect they give him. He definitely have a lot of respect for that driver. He's a real-life driver as well, drives late models. He is a young man, so he's definitely in his teenage years, but definitely has a lot of wisdom for his age, I'd say, and a lot of skill when it comes to being behind the wheel of a real-life race car. So, and that a lot of times does translate to the sim, as we see, of course, Justin Levine trying to battle with William Mann Jr. William Mann Jr., of course, finished 3rd last week, I do believe, at Michigan. So we'll have to wait and see if that 29 can continue to have that momentum. But right now he's being challenged by last week's winner at Michigan.
Yeah, and it seems like Levine is benefiting from the draft of guys ahead, and it's going to be interesting to see if he can really slide in and try to stay in that draft, as he is on that low side. It seems like the draft has really only been happening on the bottom side, and it looks like I spoke a little bit too soon. He's going to get the draft from that 19 of, I believe, I can't really read the numbers at the moment. It seems like he's going to get a draft there.
Yeah, of course, we see Jason Taylor now moving his way up into the top 5. He's going to be trying to see if he can't get up the 4. He gets tied up on Steven Gibson in the 19. 19 goes up a little bit higher. They are able to make the corner without wrecking each other, but they definitely got incredibly close. You can tell Taylor feeling a little bit tight in that race car.
Yeah, but
he is going to try to see if he can't take away fourth. Go ahead.
It's really great to see the car control that these guys have. The fact that they can race really side by side in these trucks that are really, as we talked in the road course series, that these trucks are very easy to get loose, and once they go loose, it's hard to keep them together. So it's good to see the car control of these guys, of that 15 of, I believe, Taylor, and that 19 of Gibson.
Yeah, this is a tough track too. I mean, this place, it's not like other mile and a halves. This version of it. I mean, if these guys were at like a track like Kansas or Chicagoland or Las Vegas, they'd be able to just put the foot down and go around this place for probably like 20 laps without burning the tires up too much. But at a track like Atlanta, there is no full throttle. Maybe in the straightaways, but definitely not in the corner. So these guys are having to deal with the challenges that this track is putting on them, and I'm loving what I'm seeing. Though right now from Justin Levine. Here he comes on Jason Taylor. He's gotten by Stephen Gibson. Gibson catches a little bit of the grass there on the front stretch, but it looks like he's able to keep it together. Is in sixth place, but might be challenged soon by the 4 of Andrew Hale. And I'm really surprised that Robbie Keneally hasn't made his way up closer to the front here. He's been following kind of right behind William Mann Jr., and I think he might be trying to save tire here, being pushed a little bit by Brendan Ball.
I agree. I think after that incident with Meeks, he was back in last, if I'm not mistaken here, Brian, and he's really worked his way up from there after the past 2 restarts. So I think it's been a great recovery from Keneally out of, but he is back up there.
Yeah, definitely. Big battling still going on right in the top 5, top 3 on back kind of. You see, of course, Sabilo trying to make something happen on James Harris. Harris, of course, not really giving him much options here. You see Sabilo kind of doing what Keneally was doing, running the bottom line, trying to see if he can't save those tires. You can see Harris is going a little bit higher, and I think that is kind of a no-no. I think that I feel like they're running their tires up more when they do that, and they're showing that their trucks are a little bit more on the tight side. Now, of course, this is a fixed setup series, so they can't really do anything to adjust the race car. You have to adjust your driving style, so I think that is what we're going to have to see from James Harris. Oh, there goes James Taylor into the wall. And it looks like Justin Levine, I think, accidentally turned him into the wall. Caution is not out. Green flag still flies. So we're going to definitely have to take a look back and see what happened there. I think Levine might have, or maybe Taylor got tight, because Taylor has been very tight the last several laps. So I feel like maybe he got tight and then unfortunately turned himself into the wall. We'll have to wait and see here.
Seems like he kind of just slides up here and maybe did turn himself into the wall and really just collects Levine here. We should see what really happened here.
Yeah, we see, of course, Taylor's up on the top. Levine
I think
took him 3 wide. This might have been...
I think this is the move by that 33 of Levine.
Oh, yeah, this is
when they went 3 wide, and he made an amazing move here to move himself ahead of these guys, and I believe Taylor just got him back here. And if I'm not mistaken, this could be the move we're talking about. No,
we keep going back to the same replay.
Still the same move. But yeah, this was a great move by that 33 of Levine. Let's see what this is. It seems like, yeah.
I think this is it right here. Yeah, you see Taylor. Taylor goes down the racetrack, and Levine thought he could go and take up that spot. But I think Taylor kind of changed his mind at the last second there, and that you can't do that. If you're gonna make a move to move down further down the track, you have to stick with what you're gonna do, because the guy has to be able to predict your decision there. So unfortunately, Jason Taylor definitely did not. Yeah, he had the wrong side of that one there for sure. And of course, Levine also kind of paid the price as a result as well. Both of those drivers now 9th and 10th. Of course, Kyle Holden 3/10 on James Harris right now. He's starting to pull away. And I really feel like the clean air is really benefiting that 59 at the moment.
Agreed. And you were saying before, Brian, that 55 of Holden was really choosing to take that high side, as we see Levine and, if I'm not mistaken, Taylor still going at it further on back in 9th and 10th. But I was saying before, if you're the 55 of Harris, Holden is taking a much better line than you at the moment, as Holden was behind that number 1 of Keneally. If you're Harris, I would really follow the line of that 59 of Holden, as he had a big learning experience with that 1 of Keneally, who's up in a 5th at the moment. So if you're Harris, I would stop taking the top side as much and really follow that 59 of Holden. And you see the difference in lines here, Brian. and Holden is just pulling away by the second.
Yeah, he is. He's definitely starting to pull away, and I think you're right. I think you're hitting the nail right on the head. I think Harris is taking the wrong line here. I think he's trying to get clean air. I think that's what he's trying to do, and trying to experiment and try to find other speed. But you see, even Keegan Sobilo, I mean, he's doing the same thing that Kyle's doing, kind of running around the bottom. He's turning some really good laps. But I'll tell you who's running really good laps right now. Andrew Hale. Last time by, he was faster than everybody in front of him. Actually, he was the fastest guy pretty much on the racetrack. So watch out for that 4. I think that he's got some good speed. He's about a half a second back from the 77, but I expect that he's going to be catching up to that 77 very soon. But, of course, this is a track that, like I said, clean air is very, very important. The closer that Hale gets to the back of the 77, the less that truck's going to start handling well.
Of course, and we see the difference in lap times here as Holden, obviously on that different line than the rest of these guys. He is a tenth faster than Harris and Sabilo. Seems like Sabilo is going to start kind of catching on to these guys, and Hale as well. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, as that 7 of Sabilo is going to catch up to the 55 of Harris. And if these guys fight, it's really going to bring Hale back into play, who has been super fast here in lap 59.
Yeah, I think he's got good long-run pace. I think he's been really trying to save the tire, and it's really showing. Of course, I think Robbie Keneally, he's kind of in a struggle, I think, right now, because I think it took a lot of his resources to even get up to this 5th place position. So I don't think he's going to move that much more forward here. So he's going to really want to caution, as we're now 60 laps into this race, going to be 40 to go this next time by. And of course, these guys have been out here for about 26 laps thus far. That's a lot of laps. Of course, I talked about the fuel window as being about 45 laps. That means in about 20 laps, we're going to have to see green flag stops. These guys cannot make it to the end on this gas.
Agreed, and this is by far one of the longest stints we've seen at the moment. I think this is the longest we've had green so far, so it's going to be interesting to see these guys really get in the groove here, really try to get comfortable in the car, as we see, I believe, the 15 of Taylor, and if I'm not mistaken, the 16 of Wind going side by side here. And this is really not going to help Taylor out. The more he fights, the more it's going to really slow him down here in this race.
Yeah, he was looking so good earlier, and was really up in the top 5, was a big contender, but unfortunately that is not the case any longer. But I'll tell you what, I turned my attention back up here to the front. Keegan Sobilo is getting challenged now by Andrew Hale. And, of course, you can see Hale last time by was about a 10th faster. Here he comes. Ooh. So I think he might have got a little loose, or maybe this is on purpose, but side by side, 4th, 3rd, and I think Hale, he has enough resources. He's going to get this pass completed here.
And I believe that 7 of Sabilo, it seems like he's just struggling with tires here at the moment. He's going to try to remain on that outside of Hale, and he's going to go all the way up, wheel to wheel with Hale. Interesting to see these guys. I think it's important for these two guys to really work together, that 7 of Sabilo and that 4 of Hale, to really try to catch that 55 of Harrison, maybe take the fight up to Holden. And the more these guys fight, as Sabilo still on the outside of Hale, and it's interesting to see these guys really trade positions here. Definitely not going to help them out the more they fight.
No, not at all. And I think that Andrew kind of realizes that. I think he was just like, I tried to go to the inside and tried to make the pass stick, but was not able to do so. So I think this is a kind of an act of wisdom, to where he's like, I'm just going to drop back behind him. And when an opportunity presents itself, I'll try to take it again. It was just like we're having Brandon Ball maybe having a little bit of issues here, as William Mann Jr. is right there behind him, as well as Justin Levine. Levine trying to make moves. He's all the way up to the ball, gets it to the rear end a little bit here. This could be a point of contention.
And you just see the difference of speed from Levine out of the corner compared to Ball. Levine really getting right up the rear end of Ball. It's gonna be really critical for Levine to try to get past these guys as soon as possible, but he has to do it with a lot of intelligence and using his head here, really, to try to get past these guys, as he does have 2 sets of tires left, I believe, Brian.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And it looks like Ball is acting somewhat as a thorn in his side at the moment. As you see, Levine drops down to the bottom to try to make this pass stick. And, of course, there has been another pass. We talked about Andrew Hale trying to work on Keegan in that 77. He has made that pass. He is now up into 3rd place. The more that they battled, though, that has brought Robbie Keneally into the picture. And Keneally, I think, has been running faster than the 77.
Yeah, Keneally, you were telling me that you believe that he was really struggling here, but in my head, I was really thinking that Keneally, with all that experience that he has, if I'm Keneally, I'm really just saving my tires, letting the guys ahead of me fight, and if a caution comes out, I'm going to be there to pick up the leftovers.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think that's exactly what his game plan is. And I think also Steven Gibson, he's been showing some really good pace. He was a few hundredths faster than Keneally that last time by. Actually, about a tenth actually that last time by. So watch out for that 19. He's looking really quick. Of course, Steven Gibson I speak of, and that green machine there, I think he's got a good shot at it. I mean, of course, we've seen him do very well in competition here in the Champion Power Equipment Truck Series. And it looks like we got a green flag stop. George Young coming down pit road from Dallas. Of course, Dallas, Pennsylvania. I didn't know that was a Dallas, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Brian, as we were saying before, what I think Gibson, whatever car is behind Keneally has really been fast. As we see, the 59 of Holden was behind Keneally at one point in this race. Now he's in the lead of this race, so obviously a different line than the rest of these guys. I believe Keneally is really, to whatever guy gets behind him, if you're the 19 at Gibson or the 59 at Holden earlier on in this race, he's really been a teacher to these guys, showing them the right line, showing them the difference in speed that you can take with these lines, and he's really just bringing these guys up with him as we see Holden in the lead of this race, and he's done a great job leading this race. And we have Keneally here really pulling along Gibson, and it's going to be interesting to see if these, as I think Gibson now passed Keneally. I was just about to say that if these learners can really overtake their teacher.
Yeah, I think they're definitely a big teaching moment right now. Of course, Jason Taylor just came off of pit road. We see James Ifa coming off of pit road right now. And Kyle Holden is starting to get caught by James Harris. Harris has really started to turn up the heat a little bit. So maybe that higher line he was running might actually been helping him somewhat when it comes to the tire life. Now, of course, with the newer tire models that we've seen here in iRacing, it does seem like, when you run the bottom, it wears a different tire than when you run the top. So I think in a lot of regards, he has been wearing maybe a different tire. Maybe his rears more than his fronts, and that could be what is maybe helping him. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not a engineer, but it looks like here comes Kyle Holden down to pit road.
Yeah, Holden coming in. Definitely going to be interesting to see how this plays out for these guys, as it looks like we may go green for the rest of the 29 laps here. I don't want to jinx it here for these guys, but going to be interesting to see how a pit strategy works out for these guys. We see a couple of other guys in pit lane, that 7 of Sabilo, 17 of Ball, 73 of Lucido. Going to be interesting to see how this plays out for all these guys.
Yeah, I think this is a good call for Kyle Holden. He saw that Hank Harris was starting to catch him, and was like, okay, I'll come down pit road. And here comes the response from Harris. He comes down now. So a lap later, we see James Harris come into pit road as well as Andrew Hale and Steven Gibson. And of course, Robbie Keneally, I think Keneally might have got a penalty or something. He's actually out of the car. So something has gone wrong with Robbie Keneally here. He manually disconnected, so I don't know if that was a technical difficulty or maybe just out of frustration.
And if you're the 33 of Levine, I'm sorry, Brian. If you're the 33 of Levine, you have 2 sets of tires left, I believe. It's going to be interesting to see what he decides to do. I don't know if he's waiting for a caution here, but I think if you're that 33 of Levine, you really have to come in at some point because these guys behind you are on fresher tires.
Yeah, I think he should come down very soon. I don't know why he's staying out a little bit longer. He's still got some pretty good pace compared to some of the other guys that were on older tires. So, I mean, I get it why he's staying out. But, I mean, we're running low on time here. I think that he is really making a Hail Mary attempt here. As, of course, we see, I do believe, some racing happening a little bit further back. Of course, some drivers that are just coming off of pit road. We see Andrew Hale right there in the mix. So, some guys that were, we were spread out, really spread out before. But now it is starting to get to where the accordion effect is really starting to be present. All these guys are coming back together, and that could present itself an opportunity for a caution for a driver like Justin Levine.
And as we see Holden still in the lead of this race with Harris still behind him, I believe. I think Holden is in the provisional lead of this race, and I think I may have spoken too sooner. Is that Levine going slow? I have no idea what I'm looking at here right now. Or these guys are a lap down, I guess. Oh, and Levine into the pits. Definitely a good call by him. It's going to be interesting to see where he comes out compared to these other guys.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting decision. I think that he was just trying to stay out as long as he could to see what he could do. Of course, Robert Wynn now out front. I heard a joke a little bit before the race began. They said Robert Wynn, even though everybody else's fuel window is about 45, they said he can make it 60. So we'll have to wait and see if that's going to actually be the case, if that's factual at all. Of course, he's running 33.8, 33.9, so very much off the pace. And I think that's why he probably could go a little bit further. And here he comes to pit road right now. And that's going to give Kyle Holden the lead back here. Of course, he is being followed closely by James Harris, who's about 7/10 back. But I think the soul of this race right now is in the hands of Kyle Holden. I think that he has really good speed. Last time by, he was 2/10 faster than James Harris. So I really would keep an eye on this 59 Sim Search machine. I think he's got what it takes to possibly get this victory. I think track position is really important. I think Harris might not, I wouldn't count him out quite yet. Maybe Harris has not put his full cards down. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out.
And if you're Harris, you're really going to want to start following that 59 of Holden and that line that he's taking. If Holden's this much faster than you, you have to understand that something's working for Holden and something's not working for you. It may be that higher line for Harris and that lower line for Holden that is working out. So it's going to be interesting to see. If you're Harris, you're really going to want to start taking that line, trying to get in the draft of Holden and really take the fight to him as Harris is on one lap, fresher tires. Obviously, it doesn't sound like much, but we're here at a track where track degradation is everything. If you're on one lap can really make a difference here.
Oh, it definitely can. I do want to take a moment while we have a little bit of some time to shout out another one of our sponsors here with the Champion Power Equipment Truck Series, that being Blackstone Management Partners. Blackstone Management Partners guarantees an unrivaled one-on-one approach to every client, providing them with solutions and services required to keep their dynamic brands thriving and one step ahead of the ever-changing consumer marketplace. Blackstone comprises expertise in marketing, communication, talent management, and event management. Working with their clients, they not only use traditional but state-of-the-art platforms, including mobile marketing, investigative marketing, and cause-driven marketing. Visit them at bsmpartners.com. And of course, we see Kyle Holden, who is in the lead of this race. I do want to shout out another sponsor that's actually on that race car that is a sponsor here of Grid Vision. And of course, that being simsearch.com. Are you an iRacing setup builder wanting to make a little extra money off your building? Do you have an old wheel or pedal sitting in your closet collecting dust? You may want to offer iRacing painting services. SimSearch.com is a virtual flea market that is specifically tailored to sim enthusiasts. Check them out today at SimSearch.com. Love to see that paint scheme out there, and them. I mean, we got a lot of partners here with Grid Vision that are being represented out here on the racetrack.
I will say, Brian, you probably have one of the best voices when it comes to shouting out sponsors. So if I was a sponsor, I'd be very happy with the voice behind these sponsors, as we see that 4 of Hale really up the rear of that 19 of Gibson already in that Bass Pro Shops livery. I'm trying to really sound like you here, Brian.
You got to be, I'm turning red over here. You got to stop. But yeah, the battle is heating up here for sure for that 4th place position. Hale's been really quick. I've been very impressed with that 4 machine. I think last week he really came into his own at Michigan, and I think the momentum he built there with that kind of speed, I think he's really showing it off here tonight.
And obviously momentum is built throughout races and throughout the course of a race. It's been 80 laps for Hale, and it seems like he's really gone in the groove here. As he is now ahead of that 19 of Gibson. It's interesting to see how this will play out for him, as he's going to try to really, push his way forward, maybe end up on the podium here. And it seems like he may be catching little by little that 7 of Sevilla, as Sevilla has been quick, really the rookie here.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, rookie in this series. Of course, not rookie when it comes to his actual seat time. But I'm watching right now. I'm keeping a really big eye on this race for the lead. Last time by, James Harris was about a 10th or even maybe 2/10 faster than Kyle Holden. So watch out. I think that Harris is not done. I think that he does still have an opportunity before him, as we are coming up here to 18 laps to go. He's in the draft. Now, as I mentioned before, the closer he gets to the back end of the 59, the less that truck's going to handle, as we take a nice cockpit camera here from the 55.
And it's going to be interesting, is that 59 of Holden saving tires here for the end of this race, or is he really just losing time to that 55 of Harris? It's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, we don't know what's going on here for that 59 of Holden. but definitely strategy is going to have a lot to do in this race. And obviously, driving strategy is also going to have to do a lot, as we still have 18 laps to go. And we know that tire degradation has been a huge factor here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we're already seeing a second of fall off, even after a 12-lap stint. I mean, that is huge. You can tell just how much these tires truly mean. And if we have a late race caution and some of these guys don't have a set left, that is going to be big. And some of these guys I don't think, have a set left. So, I mean, if we did have a late race caution, that would change everything.
Agreed. And that 33 of Levine still has that extra set of tires here, and he's up in the 6th spot. He is currently running in the 31s, and I don't think anybody else here on the track is running the 31s that 33 of Levine is, as he did decide to pit later than everybody else. So it's going to be interesting. That 33 of Levine has another set of tires, and he's on much fresher tires at the moment, as we're going to see everybody else start to fall off, and that 33 of Levine, fresher set of tires, could be a force to be reckoned with here tonight.
Oh, that's a really good point. That is a really good point. I mean, last time by, he was 7/10 faster than Stephen Gibson. I think Gibson is struggling right now, but he is faster than everybody in front of him. You're right. He does have a long way to go, a huge mountain to climb, though. 5 seconds to the leader that he has. So I don't think he has enough time to really make that up. But the battle is definitely on right now for this 5th spot. And he definitely is going to have some points. Of course, he entered this race as the points leader. If he gets the top 5, I think that, I don't know if he'll stay in the points lead, but it definitely would do him a lot of good as he does take over that 5th spot. He slides right around Stephen Gibson. He has, I think, 1.9, almost 2 seconds to get up to Andrew Hale, though. I think that is a long shot that he's going to be able to get up there. But then again, we do have coming up now 14 to go.
14 to go, and anything can happen here in this race, really, Brian. And if you're that 33 of Levine, really, you can push all you want. And if you're the 59 of Holden, that 55 of Harris, that 77 of Sabilo and Hale, all these guys are really going to have to think about tires here. They don't have another set, if I'm not mistaken here, Brian, and Levine does. So really, whatever happens in this race, that 33 of Levine is going to be on much fresher tires than the rest of the field, really.
Yeah, he definitely will. If, like you said, if the caution comes out, though, it just looks like everybody's pretty spread out right now. The only time, only opportunity I'd say that we might have a caution is if someone self-spins by themselves. And that could happen. It very well could happen. I mean, this is a tough track. There's lots of bumps here. But I just think that everybody's had enough seat time. But here comes Hale. Hale's going to be challenging for the 3rd spot here underneath Keegan Sobilo, and it looks like I think he might be able to take it. I mean, Hale's last time by was about a 10th and a half faster, and he's going to make this pass look easy.
Yeah, of course, when we were talking about that 4 of Hale in that fast Pro Shops livery, he had been super quick all night long, and believe that 2 of James Ufall seems like he was had issues
high,
there.
wide, and handsome, looks like.
Yeah, high, wide, and handsome, exactly. A little too high, a little too wide, and a little too handsome here tonight for him.
Sir, you're too handsome. You can't race anymore. No, our producer says it happens to him all the time. They don't let him race because he's too handsome.
Happens to me all the time if I'm...
Well, look at this, though. We talked about the gap that was between Levine and the 4th place car. Well, that has decreased quite a bit. Now he's 2nd, separates these 2 drivers. Also, Tyler Meeks is back on the racetrack. He's 56 laps down. Of course, had to have extensive repairs. Did not have a fast repair left after he blew his engine. So he is definitely trying to see if he can't possibly get the position of Nathan Meyer. I think that's the only spot he really could possibly get here. Of course, they are about 10 laps separated, so that could be a possibility for him. But Kyle Holden right now, coming to 9 to go, is in the lead. He's got about a 0.6 of a second lead right now on James Harris. Last time by, he was about a 0.5 tenth faster. I don't think anybody's got anything for Holden here. I think that he has this thing wrapped up. The only thing that's going to take it away is if a caution comes out.
Agreed. And Brian, we had a difference of opinions here. You were telling me that you believe that 59 of Holden was really struggling on those tires, and I believe that 59 of Holden was saving tires. So it's going to be interesting to see what he's doing, and I'd love to talk to this guy after the race to see what was really going on, see which one of us was right. But as we see, moving further on down, Levine seems like he's really catching that 4 of Hale and that double 7 of Sabilo. And the more that 4 of Hale and the more that double 7 of Sabilo really fight, the more it's going to bring that 33 of Levine into play. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out for these guys.
Yeah, I think Levine might have a top 3 here if he's run out of time though. But he's really, I think, got a really good possibility, a good chance of getting 4th away from the 77. And I'll definitely give you that win though, Caleb. I think you were right. I think that Kyle was saving tire. I don't. There goes Levine to the back end of the 77, give him a little bit of a nudge. But I think you're right. I think that he was really running his own pace. I think he wasn't really paying that much attention to James. He was just kind of keeping the gap at a certain level. So I think you're right. We'll definitely talk to him about it. But here comes Levine on the high side. And I think he's going to be moving up to 4th place. Now, does he have enough time to get up to 3rd is really going to be the question here. Of course, he last time by, he was about 2/10 faster than Hale.
And you can really see the difference in grip and speed out of the corners, Brian. Levine just much more grip. Seems like he's so confident on that high side, and he's going to really push himself ahead of that double 7 of Sabilo. And now he's going to be on the charge to catch that 4 of Hale to try to get a top 3 here.
Yeah, I think he might be able to do it, and this would be a really good day for Levine. It's going to come down to the wire, though. I mean, like I said, he's a 10th. Last time by, he was a 10th faster than Hale. Of course, he's 6/10 behind him. These guys are coming up on 5 laps to go, so he's going to probably be side by side with Hale when they cross the start-finish line. We'll have to wait and see how that kind of math works out. Of course, tire wear, Levine's, I think, pushing could, I think he's going to end up plateauing, and maybe by the time he actually gets up to Hale, will he have a lot left? I think it's going to be the real question here.
I agree, and I'm not biased here at all, Brian, but I believe that 33 of Levine has the best-looking livery on the grid by far.
I think Kyle Holden's got the best-looking livery, in my opinion. I guess I am biased, I will say. But definitely great job. SimSearch is a business that I have a lot to do with, so I'm a little bit biased. Of course, Grid Vision is as well, so that's a pretty close tie, I'll tell you that.
You know what we need out here? We need a kart chaser livery. That's something I'd love to see because that's a business that I have a lot to do with. And when that comes out onto this grid, I will definitely be rooting for that car as we see Holden really just pulling away here, already a second ahead of that 55 of Harris and Levine. The question is here, Brian, is he really going to be able to make the move here on Hale? We see the difference in speed, we see the difference in grip, and we see the difference in lap time as that 33 Levine is still catching that 4 of Hale coming on to 3 laps to go. Can Levine get it done here by the end of the race?
I don't know. I mean, I think if I was Hale, if I was in Hale's shoes, I would continue to do exactly what I'm doing. He's running higher on the racetrack. I would make Levine try to pass me on the bottom because you know at a track like this, it's so hard to get the momentum off of the exit when you're on the bottom. This is a track that you really want to run, you want to arc your corners, and if you're having to kind of be, choked down to that bottom, you're not going to be able to get the runs you need. So I think that's what Hale's trying to do. I think he's just like, hey, I'm gonna go to the top of the track so I have the most momentum. I'm able to defend against a challenge, and I think that's exactly what he's doing right now. But we'll have to see. What is Levine maybe willing to push him a little bit, give him a little bit of a bumper? I mean, he's getting really close to being able to do that. But here we go. White flag is soon to be waving. Kyle Holden is going to take that white flag, and the next flag will end it if he's able to cross the line here, and it looks like he will. We're now on the final lap here in the Champion Power Equipment Truck Series race at Legacy Atlanta. And I think Kyle Holden has done it. He just got to make it around one more time, and he has enough of a gap that he can just wave to the fans here.
And interesting to see how that battle with Levine and Hale is going to play out before the end of this lap. But what a drive by that 59 of Holden. Definitely a really commanding drive by him. He has really kept it together here. He has shown the difference in lines here. And that 59 of Holden wins in Atlanta.
Yeah, what a fantastic job there. And it looks like Hale is able to hold on to that third spot. definitely a great race. Kyle Holden ought to be very, very proud. I know he was very excited to debut this livery. He even sent me a message, on Discord, was like, hey, check out this, man. I'm ready for action tonight. And apparently he was ready for action in more ways than one. He knew what he was going to do when it came to this race. And I think a lot of these guys as well had a lot of experience with this racetrack, too. You got to keep in mind that towards the end of the mini road course season, we did a little bit of a fun race here at Legacy Atlanta with the same vehicle, same fixed setup. So I think that Kyle Holden learned a lot in that race, and I think that's why he did so well here tonight, as he does a big celebration here, does some burnouts there. Very impressive drive there from the 59.
Yeah, agreed. And I believe being behind that number 1 of Keneally really helped him out as well to see the difference in lines. And I think whenever he was behind that number 1 of Keneally, he really came alive here in this race. And it seems like he really, really adapted to that difference in line than everybody else. And he really made the most out of it and ended up coming out with the win here. So very good to see that 59 of Keneally taking the win here in Atlanta.
100%. As he finishes out, as Kyle Holden finishes celebrating this race here, we will actually go ahead and run down through the final results here for the race at Atlanta. Of course, Kyle Holden comes home with the victory. James Harris finishes in second place. Andrew Hale barely able to hold on to third as Justin Levine finishes in fourth. Keegan Sobilo, in his first race here with the Champion Power Equipment Truck Series, finishes in fifth. Sixth place, Stephen Gibson. Our pole sitter, Craig Ganzak, finished in seventh. Jason Taylor in eighth. Brendan Ball, ninth. And rounding out the top 10 is William Mann Jr. Of course, 11th place. Go ahead.
No. On you. Sorry.
I was expecting you to just do the last 10 there.
All right, I got it. That 11 of Robert. Sorry. In 11th, Robert Wynn. In that 16, 12th, George Young. 13th, Brad Thacker. 14th, John Lucido. 15th, James Ufall. Mr. Too High, Too Handsome, and I believe Too Wide. And in 16th, we have Robert Keneally. Obviously had issues here in this race. 17th and 18th, Nathan Meyer and Tyler Meeks getting together in this race. The two privateers didn't work out for them here tonight, but it is going to be interesting to see how this championship plays out. Maybe some of these guys will try to make amends later on in this season.
We'll have to wait and see on that one for sure, but we're going to go ahead and talk to our third place finisher, if we can find him, Andrew Hale. And here we go, Andrew Hale, third place, man. Not a bad job tonight at all. I mean, you definitely had really good speed. It seemed like on the long run. Of course, you were having to really battle against Justin Levine there at the end. Walk us through how the truck was feeling.
I just took it easy at the beginning, settled in and rode, and then everybody was pushing and I took off, got up front a little bit. Then the caution fell, I pit, and Jason, I've never really done long races, so Jason Taylor helped me a little bit along the way there. And then that last run, I was debating, last pit stop, I was debating when to pit, and I seen the leader dive off, and I was like, geez, I should have pitted. But came in next lap, and then debated whether to go hard the whole time or lay back and then take off, and I just decided to take off and go get what I can get.
Well, you definitely got what you can get. I mean, a podium in this series is not easy to get for sure, so you accomplished much here tonight, and definitely excited to see what you have for us in the future for sure. I mean, how challenging is this track? I mean, it seems like the legacy version of this place is very difficult.
Yeah, this is really my first time running this track ever. I don't run trucks a lot, but Thacker got me in here, wanted me to come run, so that's what I did. And, it's okay. I'm used to running short track stuff, so I'm like Richmond and all the other short tracks we go to. But I can run the top better than I could the bottom, but that's about anywhere I run on a longer track.
Well, speaking of a longer track, we're going to another mile and a half. Of course, Chicagoland, that's a lot different than this racetrack, but you can run the top there. That is definitely a track that is multi-groove. How do you feel about that one?
I've never ran Chicagoland, so we will see when I get there. Yes. I'll run a few test sessions, 10, 15 laps, see where the grooves are, and then come in and practice and run the race.
Well, I'm sure you'll be quick. If you were quick here, you're going to probably be a lot faster even there, because that's not as challenging of a mile and a half as this racetrack is. But thanks for your time, Andrew. Who can we give a shout out to after your third place finish here tonight?
I'd like to thank Champion Powder Equipment for keeping the hauler running all weekend. Of course, Brad Thacker for getting me in here, and then Jason Taylor for crew chiefing me along the way, just deciding when to pit and when to not.
All right, well, great job to you. Pleasure to talk to you, Andrew, and we'll see you next week, brother.
Great job, Andrew.
Alrighty, that was Andrew Hale, of course, who finished in the third place position. Of course, Caleb is standing by with the league owner and second place finisher, James Harris.
Mr. James Harris, a good P2 for you. Obviously, being behind that 59 of Holden, how was it? We were talking about you taking the high side. How do you think that affected you really in the long run of this race? Obviously, on that high side, seemed like you really lost tires here a little bit, and that 59 of Holden really just ran away with the win here.
Yeah, he did on that last run. If you remember the run previous to that, I maintained like a 6/10 gap, and then once I got about 25, 30 laps on the tires, I went to the high side. I was catching them a little bit, but just the way I race Atlanta, I've tried to change it up, but the way my style is, I have to run the bottom for the first 15 or 20 laps. I just have to move up to the top, or I'll completely wear out my tires.
Agreed. So obviously we were talking here, me and Brian were talking about the difference in race styles, the difference in lines, and obviously towards the end of this race, it seemed like you were really getting back in the groove in this race. How do you think the track evolution was here tonight? Obviously 100 laps, the track changes. Some of these guys get really in the groove here. So how do you think the track evolution really affected, I guess, the outcome of this race?
Quite a bit, because we started early in the morning, and as the race went on, the track surface heated up more and more and more. And as the track surface gets hotter, it's going to wear your tires more if you're not careful. So I'm just proud of myself finishing second, because for some reason at the beginning of the race, iRacing wouldn't let me in, so we had to start in the back, dodge all them wrecks. So for me tonight, a second place is like a win.
Obviously, it was a very great drive, and Mr. James Harris, a fellow Texas guy myself, anybody you want to say thank you to here tonight?
Yeah, I'm going to thank Champion Power Equipment. They've been with us for a couple of years. Green Mountain Grills, they were on my truck tonight. They've also been with us for about 2.5 years. Kevin Kirscher, Blackstone Management, and just all the guys that we race with on a weekly basis. This league has been around for a while, and I'm having a lot of fun.
Sounds good, Mr. Harris. Obviously, great talking to you, and congratulations on that P2 here tonight.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Alrighty, that was James Harris, our second place finisher. Next up, Kyle Holden in that 59 machine. Man, what a job for you tonight. I mean, getting that victory, almost a second lead there at the end. I mean, it seemed like Clean Air was definitely very beneficial. What was the key, you think, tonight, Kyle, for you able to win this race?
Key was just track knowledge and tire saving. Getting that clean air was definitely helpful. I know James, if he would have got to me, I know the dirty air kind of would have just kept him away for a little bit. He may end up and been able to kind of battle for the race, but the tire saving is what really came down to it. Just know this track really well, and putting it on the bottom and how to get down there is key to winning this place.
Yeah, we kind of saw you actually. We saw James kind of catching up to you there for a little bit, and me and Caleb were kind of talking. It was like we thought you might have been struggling a little bit, but he was like, "No, I think he's just saving tires."
Big debate we had here. Big debate.
So
Yeah,
you were saving tires, right?
Yeah, just saving tires. When I saw he was going up top, I knew it would be a little bit quicker, and I tried it for a little bit, for like a lap or two, and I was like, it's not worth the tire wear that's going to occur. If he would have been closer, I definitely would have been running up top to kind of give him some dirty air to keep him off of me, but running the bottom is really the trick here.
Yeah, definitely. Right. And, I know you were really excited about, kind of debuting that paint scheme today. I know you kind of even said, like, look at this paint scheme, Brian, and, you came out here. Seemed like you were ready for tonight's race in more ways than one. I mean, how much time did you spend practicing? I know you say you know this track well. I mean, did you have to practice?
No, I didn't really put any practice in. Every time I've come here, I've been in contention for the win or have won the race. So I didn't put too much practice in. The tire model on this one's a little bit different, so the truck just feels a little bit tighter overall. I think it kind of might help people save their tires a little bit. But yeah, this paint came out awesome. I definitely wanted to come out here and get a show, come out with a banger, and we ended up winning the race. So it's real sweet. But huge thanks to SimSearch for putting this car together for us, and Team Watson Racing for always being there.
100%. Now, of course, next week we're heading to Chicagoland, a different mile and a half. Very different than this racetrack, but of course, you can run more multi-groove there as well. How do you feel about that track? Do you feel just as confident there as you do here?
Probably not as much. This is definitely my best track there is, but we'll put on a show for you, that's for sure.
All right. Well, I know you already shouted out some. Who can we give any other shout-outs here tonight for you?
Yeah, just you guys in the booth as well. Champion Power Equipment, James for putting this on for us. All the guys at Martin Sports, Cowboy Magic, and Mane and Tail, they always do great things for us, and Straight Arrow. Just huge thanks to all the sponsors for TWR, and thanks to everyone who's rooting on for me.
All righty. Well, thanks for your time, Kyle. Congratulations on the victory. We'll see you next week at Chicago, brother.
Appreciate it.
Of course, that was Kyle Holden, our winner here tonight. Definitely a great job from him, and then you could just tell he was confident. He knew exactly what he was doing, Caleb. So I mean, you were right. You were right. He knew what he was doing.
I agree, Brian. And some may say that I'm always right. No, I'm playing, but yeah. No, I'm playing, Brian. But yeah, that 59 of Holden definitely seems like that tire saving strategy did help him out a lot coming into the end of this race. We were talking about it here before, and he was super comfortable coming into this racetrack. So that's obviously going to always have to play a huge factor here. Whenever someone's comfortable at a racetrack and knows it like the back of their hand, it's definitely going to be in their favor all the way through. But going to be interesting to see how it plays out next week as we head to a much different track in Chicagoland.
Yeah, for sure. And I echo what you said there. I think this track especially is a track that you have to be confident with. This is a track, in my opinion, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. This is what this track is all about. And Kyle definitely had that going for him in spades for sure. But thanks everybody for tuning in. Of course, as we just mentioned, Chicagoland is going to be next week in the Champion Power Equipment Truck Series. Of course, the race, the stream itself should be going live around 8:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The race itself will go green a little bit after 9 p.m. So definitely make sure you tune in and keep track of it. I'm telling you, we will have some great racing every single week here in this series, and we'll have some great racing tomorrow as well for the Thunderclap iRacing Series presented by TLC Incorporated. They will be, I do believe, at Kansas Motor Speedway, I think in the NASCAR truck. So that'll be an interesting one to see for sure as well. There's some heavy hitters that race in that series, of course. So another mile and a half. Of course, Ryan Truex races in that series. A bunch of crew chiefs. Even some country music stars racing that series. We're so happy to be able to call that one. And, man, I tell you, just make sure you tune in. It starts, of course, around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is about when that one starts. So make sure you tune in for that if you want to get some more, scratch that itch to watch some more racing. We definitely want to scratch that for you here at Grid Vision. But with that, I think it is time to conclude our race here, our production here tonight. Of course, thank you to Caleb for all he does and being my co-commentator here tonight. Of course, big shout out to Austin Derbyshire putting together all these great camera angles here at Atlanta. Of course, also shout out to Justin Levine, who participated in this race and is a co-owner along with Taylor Burris for the Grid Vision group. Of course, my name is Brian Britt. Thank you for listening to the Champion Power Equipment Truck Series on Grid Vision. We'll see you next time.